Hello, it's Chaplain73 here. You're joining me again for another interview with another artist, an artist on the other side of the world to me today. I'm joined by Saskia. Hello, Saskia.
Hello.
I was put in touch with Saskia because she's been part of the inaugural International Instagram Paste Up Biennial in Broken Hill in Australia. And she's here to talk to us today about what she does. And I'll just start with the introductory question of tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're based.
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. And if you don't mind, I'll do a bit of an acknowledgement to country from the land on which I live on. So I live on Ngunnawal country in Canberra, which is the capital of Australia. So I'd just like to pay my respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. Thank you for looking after the land and letting me be here. So thank you. I'm Saskia Haalebos. I am a visual artist. I work across lots of different stuff. I was a printmaker, well, trained as a printmaker. What else do? I do digital. I've been a musician. I do lots of experimental stuff, word art, pretty much just whatever the idea calls for. So it's really about themes rather than a medium. Mm-hmm. So, I'd like to work about empathy or just differences in communication methods, mm-hmm. which you might be able to tell. I'm heavily dyslexic, so if I might say the wrong word or might accidentally swear or might forget.
Don't worry about that.
Okay, cool. I might just finish a sentence halfway through and not know how to continue it. So thank you.
My wife and two of my daughters are heavily dyslexic, so I am quite well versed in dyslexia. So, yeah.
Excellent.
So as an artist involved in the biennial, your work is going to be seen by quite a lot of people. And in that context, do you feel that art can change the world? And I know that's a big ask. And if so, in what way?
Okay. It is a big ask because it's like 7 o'clock in the morning here. I think art has always changed the world, and not just art, music, dance, everything, film. Like you can pinpoint moments throughout history where art or anything creative has, brought down governments, changed people's minds, just liberated people from kind of the societal norms. I mean, even here, when the National Gallery of Australia bought Jackson Pollock's Blue Poles in the 70s for $2 million, which, in the 70s is ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money now, but it was part of what brought down our government of the day. I mean, that's amazing that people cared so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they still have it, and it's, not that it's about money, but it's worth like $150 million today. But so I think we all can change the world in all of our own creative ways. Whether it's just, I don't know, even your barista making a nice kind of froth art on the top of your coffee, it just makes life better. And, that kind of like bothering to make someone's day better. I mean, there's kindness, and that's infectious.
Yeah, I think the smallest thing that somebody does, the old butterfly effect thing of, it has profound effects, or it can have profound effects on the way that somebody's feeling, and the way that somebody feels means that they interact with somebody better, and the knock-on effect is you can't really I don't think you can really sort of like say how much effect you're having just by the simple action. Something I've pondered over many times. But yeah, I think you're right. Art has always influenced the politics of the day.
Well, if you think of like all the the young women screaming at the Beatles, what are they screaming for? It's not just about, them thinking the guys are hot or whatever, but, that kind of, I think there's all of that kind of, repression and stuff being just screamed out for, an hour and a half.
Yeah, and the music that the Beatles were producing actually spoke to the generation that were screaming. Yeah.
And I mean, that's happened, the punk movement, the grunge movement, all of that kind of just.
Yeah. I mean, music, it's probably more visible to see how it's affected, but I do think art as well. You've had your different movements in art, and they've been very reflective of the society at the time.
Yeah.
Food for thought, isn't it? So what or who inspired you and influenced your style?
Oh God. It's funny, I and it's just come back to me. I tried to get my older brother in trouble once. This is relevant. Working with words a lot. I naughtily wrote his name on our wallpaper in our family home when I was about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And thought, he must have done something. I don't know. He was always trying to scare me or whatever. And we were kind of always, tit for tat, just trying to niggle each other or whatever. So I wrote his name on the wallpaper, and no one noticed it until we were like peeling it off, 20 years later. It's like, oh, I didn't do that. And everyone's like, you're an idiot. What are you talking about? Anyway, so I guess I've always, what am I trying to say? Here we go. This is the dyslexia kicking in, trying to transform images through the funnel into the limitations of words. I think just who's influenced me. I think anyone who is an ideas person. So people like Björk or Yoko Ono, or even authors and scientists like Oliver Sacks, just those kind of people who kind of maybe kind of sit on the edges of their discipline, who are just super interesting, and just, when you hear an idea and it's just like, oh, that's just so simple, and you want to just, I don't know, it's this kind of visceral feeling, so it just
shifts your perception, doesn't it? It's
And I mean, I guess other influences are people that I often collaborate with, so I'll try and make sure that they get in touch with you. Just my friend Nikki Haynes, she's amazing. I think she was born in Nottingham, actually.
Nice.
She's amazing. I've got a couple of friends who live in Tasmania, who, one's an author, one's a sound artist, and we collaborate often. So just bouncing ideas off just people who you trust and love, and who just are amazing people, I think kind of fuels you, keeps you going.
I think often as an artist, it's important to have other people to bounce ideas off, and I think that's where, like, sort of like art communities, when artists come together, great things happen. I think that collaboration is something that we should all remember as artists, that it's better to collaborate than compete. It's that collaboration, not competition type thing that
absolutely,
that feeds us artistically, if you know.
And I think too, I mean, the reason I'm here is because Peter, who you've interviewed, who started the Broken Hill Street Art Festival thing, I mean, he just approached me and a friend when we were doing a workshop at the Art Gallery of New South Wales in Sydney, and he just kind of turned up and went, hey, you guys are interesting, do you want to be part of this street art festival? I mean, so it's just that kind of serendipitous things that are also really lovely, where you find your people, which is really lovely. And I mean, the support too, like you were saying earlier about your friend who paid for your YouTube course and pretty much just gave you a bit of a gentle nudge to get going. I mean, that's beautiful. It's really great.
I found that a lot over the last few years. We've got I don't know if you've heard of the Secret Society of Supervillain Artists, which was started in by a guy in Liverpool who I know and I've interviewed on here, and he just came up with this idea, and it's flourished into something that's spread across the whole of the world, and we've got members in almost virtually every country in the world, pretty much. And it is like I don't know, it's almost like a family, it's almost like family. I contacted one of the members and said I was coming to Weston-super-Mare. She was in Weston-super-Mare, and she said, well, why don't you stay with mine rather than pay for a B&B, that kind of stuff. It's just amazing the amount of goodwill and friendships that are made through art, which we were talking earlier about changing the world, but it's those small things that do change the world. It's small
absolutely.
actions that you
actually
might not.
When I moved to Melbourne 150 years ago, and this was before the internet was really a big thing, and we used to just make comics and zines and put them in little shops, and then people would write you letters, which is a beautiful physical thing to have in your hand. And from that, you'd meet up and you'd meet all of these other people making zines. And then I've got some just amazing friends from back in the day that are still in contact with, people in Melbourne who are doing paste ups, people who've moved that are still doing art stuff just all over the country, and actually moved to New Zealand as well. So just write someone a letter. It's such a nice thing to get in the mail. It's not a bill.
Yeah, I mean, it's the low tech again, isn't it? It's the low tech solution, which sometimes is the best way. I think not to diss the more technological stuff, because obviously social media has helped me massively in finding my tribe, basically. If I'd have had to stay with no internet access for the rest of my life, I don't think I'd have met half the people that I've met through art and through social media and stuff. So
there used to be like lo-fi social media, mixtapes, your post and your fanzines, and it was just a longer process.
There were ways of doing it back then, but it's certainly made life a bit easier to do that kind of that collaborative stuff, which is great. So if you were giving some advice to new artists, what would you give somebody? Advice would you give them, or was there any advice you were given that you wish you'd listened to, or you wish you'd ignored back in the day?
Oh, okay. New artists. So I think it's funny, new artist is a funny term, isn't it? Because I think inherently we're all creative, and I know that's kind of thrown about a lot, but to me a new artist is just actually a new human being. So that's a baby. I think given the chance and the support and just the access to art or music or whatever, and being encouraged is the thing that makes creative people. I'm sure there's lots of people who throughout their life have been kind of told, oh, stop drawing, it's a waste of time, or that's fine, but as long as you've got to go and get a proper job later on. So I think there's moments in everyone's life where we get kind of smacked down and we don't persevere. I think on the second point, the advice thing, I think not overt advice, but perhaps advice in hindsight. Like, I applied for art school when I was 21, which I didn't actually, art school, I didn't even know was a thing until I was 21. Like a friend, I've gone on a tangent, I'll do this. A friend of mine got into art school. I was at a share house, and everyone's like, congratulations. And I was like, yeah, what are you talking about? What is this art school thing? Because, I grew up in a pretty rough family that was all about sport. And I didn't even know you could do art school. So I didn't get in when I was 21, and I was like, oh, that's okay. I'll go later in life. And I think the advice there is that the school said, not now, you're not ready.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, that was really kind of great advice of sorts. And so going back later in life, I was ready. The school had changed enough to focus on ideas rather than process, if that makes sense. So you don't come out making just this perfect lithograph.
Mm-hmm.
You come out making something that has an interesting kind of idea behind it.
Yeah, the semi-perfect lithograph that actually has a meaning.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Man, I feel like I'm just babbling.
No,
And I
it makes perfect sense.
Exceptional bed hair. Sorry about that.
No worries. We'll forgive you. It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, it brings us to the last question, really. What's in store for the future, and do you have any future projects that you could share with us today?
Future, just going to keep making. That's advice. Sorry, I'm just going to jump back. Make something every day. Doesn't matter what it is. Make your bed, because it's nice to, when you're ready to go to bed, it's made. Just make something every day. Just don't wait for inspiration, because if you make, something will happen. Even if it's just, do a drawing, write a piece of music, make a piece of toast more interesting. Just make. I think all of the ideas are out there, and they're just looking for people who they can see are active, and then they'll just attach themselves. So I think that's the advice. What was the other thing? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. What's in store for the future? What have you got planned?
So, well, last year, of course, like for most people, was a bit of a deceleration. So I'm trying to just make every day. But I'm trying to get back to actually my 2 collaborators in Tassie. So we're a team called ITA, so image, text, audio.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Jane, who has a book in the UK now, actually, From the Wreck, check it out. She wrote a story. Her husband works under this, the title of Fever Dream Archive. So he's written this 3-minute beautiful soundscape. And so I'm going to be doing, and I'm way overdue, sorry guys, an animation made out of, it's probably about 2,000 monoprints.
Oh, right.
And then we'll just put it all together and hopefully be able to show that somewhere. So that's next to my list.
Fabulous. Sounds exciting. Look forward to seeing it. I look forward to seeing it. It does
me too.
Great. And so do your collaborators.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Anything else you've got in store?
No, I'm just waiting to hear back on a residency in Tassie and just a couple of other bits and bobs. Just continuing to make.
Yeah,
like
creating.
Yeah.
Good. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. I feel as though I've learned a lot about what you do and who you are and stuff today. So it's been great. And thank you for getting up early to talk to me. Very much appreciated.
You are very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for your time as well. If you like what you've heard today, then please subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button below. I'm going to be interviewing loads of artists over the next few months. So yeah, please just hit the subscribe button, and then you'll know about all the different interviews that I'm going to be doing, and you'll get to see them first. Okay, thanks a lot, and thanks for everything.